The gun pressed cold against Taylor's temple. She couldn't breathe. Her heart hammered so hard she thought it might explode right out of her chest. "Please," she whispered into the darkness of the alley. Rain poured down her face, mixing with her tears. "Please don't." The man holding the gun laughed. It was a cruel sound that made her skin crawl. "Your husband should have thought about that before he crossed us," the man said. Suddenly, footsteps echoed through the alley. Fast, angry, dangerous. Taylor. She knew that voice. Min-jae. He appeared at the alley entrance, and the look on his face was terrifying. His eyes blazed with fury. His jaw was clenched so tight, she could see the muscles jumping. He looked like a completely different person from the cold, distant man she'd married 3 months ago. "Let her go," Min-jae said. His voice was deadly quiet. "Now." The gun pressed harder against her head. "One more step and she dies," the man warned. Min-jae's eyes met hers across the darkness. In that moment, Taylor saw something she'd never seen before. Fear. Real, raw fear. But not for himself. For her. "Min-jae," she breathed. "Please." Everything went black. 3 months earlier, Taylor sat in her tiny apartment staring at the papers spread across her kitchen table. Bills. Debt notices. Threats. So many threats. Her father had died 6 months ago, and he'd left her with a disaster. Gambling debts. Loans from dangerous people. Money borrowed from the kind of men who didn't accept excuses or late payments. The knock on her door made her jump. Her hands shook as she walked to the door and peeked through the peephole. 2 large men in expensive suits stood outside. "Mississippi Park," one of them called. "We need to talk about your father's debt." Taylor's stomach twisted into knots. She knew these men. They'd been here before. Last time, they'd given her 2 weeks to come up with $50,000. That deadline was today. She opened the door just a crack. "I don't have the money," she said quietly. "I'm trying. I'm working 2 jobs, but..." "We're not here to collect," the man interrupted. His face was hard, emotionless. "We're here with a solution." "A solution?" The second man pulled out a photograph and held it up. It showed a man in his late 20s, impossibly handsome, wearing an expensive suit. He had sharp cheekbones, perfect black hair, and eyes that looked like they could see right through you. "Kim Min-jae," the first man said. "Richest CEO in Korea. Worth billions. He needs a wife." Taylor blinked. "What? I don't understand." "Your father's debt disappears completely. You get to live in luxury. All you have to do is marry him." "That's insane," Taylor said. "Why would a billionaire want to marry me? This doesn't make sense." The men exchanged glances. "He has his reasons. You have 1 hour to decide. If you say no, we start collecting the debt another way." The way he said it made her blood run cold. They left the photograph and walked away. Taylor closed the door and leaned against it, her legs shaking. She looked at the photograph again. Kim Min-jae stared back at her with cold, empty eyes. 55 minutes later, she called the number they'd left. Her voice trembled as she spoke. "I'll do it." The wedding happened 3 days later in a cold, sterile office. No flowers. No music. No guests except for lawyers and witnesses Taylor had never met. Min-jae arrived exactly on time, wearing a black suit that probably cost more than her apartment. He was even more stunning in person, but his face showed absolutely nothing. No emotion. No warmth. Nothing. He looked at her once when she entered. His dark eyes swept over her borrowed white dress, then moved away. He didn't look at her again. The ceremony took 7 minutes. "Do you take this woman as your wife?" "I do." His voice was flat, bored. "Do you take this man as your husband?" Taylor's voice caught. She looked at Min-jae's perfect, emotionless face and felt something break inside her chest. "I do," she whispered. "You may kiss the bride." Min-jae turned to her. For a second, she thought he might actually do it. But he just gave a tiny shake of his head and turned away. "That won't be necessary," he said coldly. The lawyers looked uncomfortable. Taylor felt her cheeks burn with humiliation. Everyone in the room could see it. Her new husband wouldn't even kiss her. After signing the papers, Min-jae finally spoke to her directly. "A car will take you to the penthouse. Your things will be moved there today. I have meetings." Then he walked out. Taylor stood there in her borrowed dress, married to a stranger who couldn't even look at her. The penthouse was like something from a dream. Floor-to-ceiling windows overlooking Seoul. Marble floors so shiny she could see her reflection. Furniture that probably cost more than she'd earned in her entire life. A woman in a neat uniform greeted her at the door. "Welcome, Mrs. Kim. I'm Soo-jin, the head housekeeper. Let me show you to your room." "My room?" Tae asked. "Don't I share a room with my husband?" Soo-jin's face remained professional, but something flickered in her eyes. "Mr. Kim has his own quarters. You have the east wing. He has the west. He's very private." The tour of her wing took 20 minutes. Her bedroom was bigger than her entire old apartment. The closet was already full of designer clothes in her exact size. The bathroom had a tub the size of a small pool. "When will Min-jae be home?" Tae asked. "Mr. Kim's schedule varies. Sometimes he works very late. Sometimes he travels. He prefers not to be disturbed." "What about dinner?" "Mr. Kim usually eats in his office or his room. If you'd like, we can serve your meals in the dining room or your quarters." Taylor felt something cold settle in her stomach. "So I just live here alone?" Soo-jin's professional mask cracked slightly, and Taylor saw pity in her eyes. "I'm sorry, Mrs. Kim. Mr. Kim is a very private person. He has specific ways he likes things." That night, Taylor ate dinner alone at a table designed for 12 people. The food was incredible, but it tasted like ashes in her mouth. Around midnight, she heard a door open somewhere in the penthouse. Footsteps, then another door closing. Min-jae was home, but he might as well have been on another planet. The next morning, Taylor woke up determined to try. This was her life now. Maybe if she made an effort, things could get better. She found Soo-jin in the kitchen. "What time does Min-jae eat breakfast?" "Mr. Kim has already left for work, ma'am. He leaves at 5:30. "Every day?" "Yes, ma'am." "What about dinner? Can I join him for dinner?" Soo-jin hesitated. "Mr. Kim has requested that he be left alone during his meals. He finds conversation during eating distracting." Taylor felt that cold feeling spread through her chest again. She was married to a man who didn't want to see her, talk to her, or eat with her. "Why did he marry me?" she whispered. Soo-jin's face softened with sympathy. "I don't know, ma'am. Mr. Kim doesn't explain his decisions to anyone." Days turned into weeks. Taylor barely saw her husband. Sometimes she'd catch a glimpse of him leaving early in the morning or coming home late at night. He never spoke to her, never looked at her. She spent her days wandering the enormous penthouse like a ghost. She tried reading, tried watching TV, tried learning to cook in the massive kitchen, but everything felt empty and pointless. One afternoon, she overheard two housekeepers talking in the hallway. They didn't know she was in the nearby room. "I feel sorry for the poor girl," one said. "Married to Mr. Kim of all people. Why did he even get married? Everyone knows he's..." "Chill. Don't say it out loud." "But yes, that's why he keeps her at a distance. He doesn't like women at all. My cousin works for his company. She says he's never dated a woman in his life. Only men. Then why marry her? Business arrangement, obviously. Maybe he needed a wife for appearance's sake. But he'll never touch her. Mark my words." Taylor's hand flew to her mouth. She felt like she'd been punched in the stomach. Gay. They thought Min-jae was gay. Suddenly, everything made sense. The separate rooms. The refusal to kiss her. The way he never looked at her. He didn't avoid her because she wasn't good enough. He avoided her because he wasn't attracted to women at all. She'd married a man who could never love her because she was the wrong gender. Taylor sank to the floor, tears streaming down her face. She cried until she had nothing left. 2 months into the marriage, Taylor decided she couldn't live like this anymore. She needed answers. She needed to understand what her life was going to be. She found out Min-jae's schedule from Soo-jin and waited in the living room at exactly 6:30, when he usually came home. Sure enough, at 6:30, the private elevator opened. Min-jae stepped out, looking perfect and untouchable in his suit. He had his phone in his hand and didn't even glance her way. "Min-jae," Taylor said. Her voice came out stronger than she felt. He stopped. Slowly, he turned to look at her. His expression was blank, but something flickered in his dark eyes. Surprise, maybe. He probably hadn't expected her to be there. "I need to talk to you," she said. "I have work." His voice was cold and clipped. "I don't care. You're my husband. You owe me at least 5 minutes." For a long moment, he just stared at her. Then he tucked his phone into his pocket. 5 minutes. Taylor stood up, her heart pounding. Now that she had his attention, she didn't know where to start. Why did you marry me? She asked. That's irrelevant. It's not irrelevant to me. I'm living in this penthouse like a prisoner. You won't talk to me. You won't eat with me. You act like I don't exist. You have everything you need, Min-jae said. His face remained expressionless. You have no debt. You live in luxury. What more do you want? I want a conversation. I want to know my husband. I want. She stopped, trying to find the courage. Why won't you even look at me? Something dangerous flashed in his eyes. You should be grateful for the distance. Why? Because you're gay? The words exploded out of her before she could stop them. The silence that followed was crushing. Min-jae's face went completely still. His jaw tightened. For a second, Taylor saw a real emotion break through his mask. Anger. And something else. Something she couldn't identify. Who told you that? His voice was deadly quiet. Nobody had to tell me. It's obvious. You won't touch me. You won't kiss me. You act disgusted by the idea of being near me. The staff whispers about it. Everyone knows. Min-jae took a step closer. His eyes blazed with something fierce and terrifying. You know nothing, he said, his voice sharp as a knife. Then explain it to me. Tell me the truth. The truth. He laughed, but there was no humor in it. You want the truth? Fine. Stay away from me. Don't ask questions. Don't try to get close. Follow those rules, and you'll be safe. Safe? Safe from what? Min-jae turned away from her. His shoulders were rigid with tension. From me, he said quietly. Before she could respond, he walked away. She heard his door slam shut seconds later. Taylor stood in the living room, shaking. That conversation had answered nothing. If anything, she was more confused than before. Safe from him. What did that mean? The next day, Taylor was in the library when she heard a crash from another room. She ran toward the sound and found Min-jae in his study, standing over a broken lamp. Are you okay? She asked from the doorway. He spun around. When he saw her, his face went hard. I told you to stay away from me. I heard a noise. I was worried. Don't be worried about me. He started to walk past her. Without thinking, Taylor reached out and touched his arm. The reaction was instant. Min-jae jerked away like she'd burned him. His eyes went wide, and for a split second, she saw panic on his face. Actual panic. Then the cold mask slammed back down. Don't touch me, he said harshly. Ever. He walked out, leaving Taylor standing there with her hand still extended. 3 days later, everything changed. Taylor had permission to leave the penthouse with security if she wanted to shop or walk around. She rarely used it because everything felt pointless, but that afternoon she was going stir-crazy. I want to go to the bookstore, she told the security guard assigned to her. His name was Jae-sung, and he was always professional but kind. Of course, Mrs. Kim. I'll bring the car around. The bookstore was quiet and peaceful. Taylor spent an hour browsing, trying to find something that might make her feel less alone. She finally selected 3 novels and went to pay. That's when she noticed the black car parked across the street. The same black car that had been behind them on the drive there. Jae-sung, she said quietly. That car. Is it one of ours? Jae-sung looked and his face went serious. No, ma'am. Stay close to me. They walked back to their car quickly. The black car followed. We're being followed, Jae-sung said into his phone, taking an evasive route back to the penthouse. Taylor's heart raced as their car turned down street after street. The black car stayed with them. Who are they? She asked. I don't know, ma'am. But we'll get you home safely. They were almost to the penthouse when the black car suddenly sped up and cut them off. Their car screeched to a stop. 3 men jumped out of the black car. They were big, wearing masks, and they moved fast. Jae-sung pushed her toward the back of the car. Lock the doors. Don't open them for anyone. But before she could move, one of the men smashed the window. Hands grabbed her. She screamed. Let me go? Help. Jae-sung fought them, but there were 3 against 1. Taylor saw him go down. Then rough hands dragged her out of the car. No. Please. What do you want? They were pulling her toward their car when suddenly, another car appeared. It came so fast it was almost a blur. The car slammed to a stop and Min-jae exploded out of it. Taylor had never seen anything like what happened next. Min-jae moved like violence itself. He grabbed the first man and slammed him into the ground so hard Taylor heard the crack. The second man tried to fight back, but Min-jae moved faster than should have been possible. A punch to the throat. A kick that sent the man flying backward. The third man still had Taylor. Min-jae's eyes locked on him, and the look on his face was absolutely terrifying. "Let her go," Min-jae said. His voice was cold death. The man hesitated. Then he shoved Taylor away and ran. His friends scrambled up and ran too. Min-jae caught Taylor before she hit the ground. His arms wrapped around her, solid and warm and safe. "Are you hurt?" His voice shook slightly. "Did they hurt you?" "I'm okay," she gasped. "I'm okay." He pulled back and ran his hands over her arms, checking for injuries. His face was still terrifying, but his hands were gentle. "Your window is cut." He touched her arm where glass had scratched her. Blood ran down to her wrist. "It's just a scratch." "It's not just a scratch." He turned to Jae-sung, who was getting up slowly. "Get the emergency medical team to the penthouse. Now." "Yes, sir." Min-jae picked Taylor up like she weighed nothing and carried her to his car. "I can walk," she protested weakly. "Be quiet." He put her in the passenger seat and drove back to the penthouse. His jaw was clenched so tight she thought his teeth might crack. His knuckles were white on the steering wheel. Back at the penthouse, a doctor was already waiting. She cleaned and bandaged Taylor's arm while Min-jae paced like a caged animal. "She's fine," the doctor said. "Just scratches. Nothing serious. Give her something for the shock." "That's not necessary," Taylor said. "It's necessary." Min-jae's voice left no room for argument. After the doctor left, Min-jae made several phone calls. His voice was sharp and angry as he barked orders at people. "I want to know who they were by morning. Check all security footage. Find them." When he finally finished, he turned to Taylor. She was sitting on the couch, wrapped in a blanket the staff had brought her. "You're sleeping in my room tonight," he said. "What?" "I said you're sleeping in my room. I'm not letting you out of my sight until I know who sent those men and why." "Min-jae, I'm fine. I don't need. You almost got kidnapped." His voice exploded with anger. "Do you understand that? Do you understand what could have happened?" Taylor stared at him. This was the most emotion she'd ever seen from him. His perfect mask was cracking. "Why do you care?" she asked softly. The question seemed to hit him like a physical blow. His face went through a dozen emotions before the cold mask slammed back down. "Because you're my responsibility," he said flatly. "Now come. I'll show you my room." His room was similar to hers, but darker. Black furniture, dark blue bedding, everything perfectly organized and impersonal. "You take the bed," he said. "I'll sleep on the couch." "This is ridiculous. I can sleep in my own room." "No." The word was final. "Until we know who's targeting you. You stay where I can protect you." "How did you even know I was in danger?" Min-jae's jaw tightened. Jae-sung called for backup. "I was closest. You left work to come get me?" Don't read into it. But something in his voice sounded off. That night, Taylor lay in Min-jae's bed, very aware that he was only a few feet away on the couch. She could hear him breathing in the darkness. "Min-jae," she whispered. "What? How did you fight like that? You moved like someone trained to kill." Silence. Then, quietly, "Go to sleep, Taylor. Answer me, please." More silence. She thought he wouldn't respond at all. But finally, he spoke. "I wasn't always a CEO. I didn't grow up in luxury. When you grow up the way I did, you learn to fight or you die." "What does that mean?" "It means go to sleep." His voice made it clear the conversation was over. Taylor closed her eyes, but sleep didn't come easy. She kept seeing the look on Min-jae's face when he'd fought those men. The cold precision. The controlled violence. Who was her husband really? The next morning, Taylor woke to find Min-jae already gone. But there was a note on the nightstand. "Stay in the penthouse today. I've doubled security. We'll talk tonight." At dinner time, Min-jae actually showed up. He sat across from her at the dining table. It was the first meal they'd ever shared. "We found the men," he said without preamble. "They work for a rival company. Someone paid them to scare you." "Why would anyone want to scare me? I'm nobody." Min-jae's eyes went dark. "You're not nobody. You're my wife. That makes you a target." "I don't understand. You're a CEO? Why would anyone?" "I wasn't always a CEO," he interrupted. "Before I built my company, I was involved in other things. I made enemies. Dangerous enemies. Taylor's stomach dropped. What kind of things? Things you don't need to know about. He leaned back in his chair. The point is, those enemies know that hurting you would hurt me. So they tried. But you don't even like me. Why would hurting me bother you? Min-jae's face went very still. I never said I didn't like you. You act like you can't stand being near me. That's different. How is it different? Explain it to me because I don't understand anything about this marriage. Min-jae stood up abruptly. He walked to the window and stared out at the city lights. When I was 23, he said quietly, I was engaged. Her name was Ji-won. She was beautiful and kind, and she loved me even though I had nothing. Taylor's breath caught. This was the most personal thing he'd ever told her. One of my enemies found out about her, Min-jae continued. His voice was flat, emotionless, but Taylor could hear the pain underneath. They took her, tortured her, killed her, all to get to me. Min-jae, Taylor whispered. After that, I swore I would never care about anyone again. Never let anyone get close. I built my company. I made money. I let rumors spread that I preferred men to women. Because if people thought I had no interest in women, then women would be safe from my enemies. But then why did you marry me? He turned to face her. The look in his eyes was raw and vulnerable. Because your father's debt was owed to some of my old enemies. They were going to hurt you. I knew what they would do to you. So I made a deal. I paid off your debt and married you. It gave you my protection and my name. Taylor felt tears burning her eyes. You married me to protect me? Yes. But you keep me at a distance because you're afraid your enemies will target me anyway. Yes. That's why you won't touch me. Why you won't get close. Min-jae's jaw clenched. If I keep you at arm's length, they'll see you as nothing more than a business arrangement. A name on paper. But if I... He stopped. If you what? If I care about you, they'll use you to destroy me. Just like they did with Ji-won. The words hung in the air between them. So you do care? Taylor asked softly. Min-jae turned back to the window. It doesn't matter what I feel. What matters is keeping you safe. What if I don't want to be kept safe? What if I want to actually be married to you? That's not possible. Why not? Because everyone I care about dies. His voice cracked with emotion. Don't you understand? Staying away from you, acting cold, letting you think I'm gay, it's all to protect you. Because if my enemies knew the truth. What truth? Min-jae was silent for a long moment. When he spoke again, his voice was barely a whisper. That from the moment I saw your picture, I wanted you. That living in this penthouse with you, but not being able to touch you is torture. That every time you walk past me, I have to force myself not to reach for you. Taylor's heart stopped. What? I'm not gay, Taylor. I never was. That rumor was my shield. But it doesn't change anything. I still can't be with you. I still can't touch you. Because the second I do, you become a target. I already am a target. Those men tried to take me yesterday. That's different. That was them testing my defenses. If they knew I actually cared about you, they wouldn't just try to kidnap you. They'd do worse. Much worse. Taylor stood up and walked to him. Min-jae tensed as she approached. Stop, he said. Don't come closer. She ignored him. She stopped right in front of him, close enough to feel the heat from his body. I'm already in danger just by being your wife, she said. At least let me be your real wife. You don't know what you're asking. Yes, I do. Min-jae's control finally cracked. His hand came up and touched her face, gentle as a whisper. His eyes were filled with longing and pain. If I let myself love you, you'll die, he said. That's what happens to people I love. Or maybe that's what happens when you try to face dangerous people alone. Maybe if we face them together, we'll be stronger. For a moment, she thought he might kiss her. His face lowered toward hers. But at the last second, he pulled away. I can't, he whispered. I'm sorry. He left the room, leaving Taylor standing alone. Over the next week, something shifted between them. Min-jae still kept his distance, but there were small changes. He ate dinner with her every night. He asked about her day. Sometimes she'd catch him watching her with an expression that made her heart race. One evening, Taylor was reading in the living room when she heard Min-jae come home. He looked exhausted, his tie loosened and his perfect hair slightly messy. Bad day, she asked. He sank onto the couch across from her. One of my factories had an accident. 3 workers injured. Are they okay? They will be. I've made sure they'll have the best medical care and their families will be compensated. That's good of you. Min-jae looked at her with tired eyes. Most people think I'm a monster. Cold. Heartless. You're not heartless. You're just scared. Something vulnerable flickered across his face. When did you figure that out? The night you told me about G1. I saw it in your eyes. You're not cold. You're terrified of losing someone again. Min-jae leaned his head back against the couch. My therapist told me the same thing. Took him 2 years to get me to admit it. You have a therapist? Everyone has demons, Taylor. Mine just happened to be very literal. They sat in comfortable silence for a while. Then Min-jae spoke again. Tell me about yourself. Your real self, not just surface things. I want to know you. So Taylor told him. About her childhood. Her mother who died when she was young. Her father who tried his best, but fell into gambling. Her dreams of being a teacher. All the little things that made her who she was. Min-jae listened without interrupting. When she finished, he smiled. A real smile that transformed his whole face. You would make a good teacher, he said. Maybe someday. Why someday? Why not now? Because I'm married to a billionaire who keeps me locked in a golden cage. Min-jae winced. Is that how you see this? Sometimes. He was quiet for a moment. Then he pulled out his phone and made a call. Kim here. I need you to process an application. Taylor Park, sorry, Taylor Kim, wants to apply for teaching positions. Yes, she has her credentials. Make sure every school in Seoul knows she's available and interested. He hung up and looked at Taylor's shocked face. What was that? She asked. You're not a prisoner. If you want to teach, teach. My security will escort you, but you're free to live your life. Tears filled Taylor's eyes. Thank you. Don't thank me. You should have been able to do this from the start. I've been so focused on keeping you safe that I forgot you need to actually live. That night felt like a turning point. Min-jae still didn't touch her, but the wall between them was crumbling. 3 days later, Taylor woke up to find Min-jae standing in her doorway at 2 in the morning. Get dressed, he said. Quickly. His voice was urgent and scary. Taylor jumped out of bed. What's wrong? Someone breached our security. They're in the building. Her blood ran cold. What? Get dressed. Stay quiet. Do exactly what I say. Taylor pulled on clothes with shaking hands. Min-jae handed her a phone. If we get separated, press the red button. It will alert my security team to your exact location. Separated? Min-jae, you're scaring me. Good. You should be scared. He led her out of the room and down a hallway she'd never noticed before. At the end was a hidden door. Behind it was a narrow staircase. This leads to a safe room, Min-jae explained as they descended. It's completely secure. You'll wait there until... An explosion rocked the building. Taylor screamed. Min-jae grabbed her and pulled her against his body, shielding her from falling debris. They're not playing around, he muttered. Change of plans. We're leaving the building. They ran down the stairs. Behind them, Taylor could hear footsteps. Men shouting. There. The stairwell. Run, Min-jae commanded. Don't stop. They burst out into the parking garage. Min-jae's car was close. But between them and the car stood 3 armed men. Kim Min-jae, one of them said. You've been very hard to reach. Min-jae pushed Taylor behind him. Let her go. Your business is with me. Oh no. Our business is very much with her. The man smiled, and it was the most evil thing Taylor had ever seen. You thought we didn't know? The man continued. You thought your cold act fooled us? We've been watching you, Min-jae. We've seen the way you look at her. We know she's your weakness now. You're wrong, Min-jae said coldly. Am I? Then you won't mind if we take her. The men moved forward. Min-jae's body coiled like a spring about to snap. Touch her and you die, he said quietly. Big words from one man against 3. What happened next was brutal and fast. Min-jae exploded into motion. He moved with lethal precision, every strike designed to kill or disable. One man went down with a crushed windpipe. Another fell with a broken knee. The third man grabbed Taylor. She screamed. Min-jae spun around, and the look on his face was pure murder. He moved faster than Taylor thought possible. 1 second the man had her. The next, Min-jae had broken his arm and slammed him into the concrete. Get in the car, Min-jae ordered. Taylor into the car. Min-jae followed, but more men were appearing from the stairwell. At least 6 of them. Drive, Min-jae said, throwing her the keys. I'll hold them off. No. I'm not leaving you. Taylor drive. But she couldn't. She couldn't leave him alone against 6 armed men. Instead, she laid on the horn. The sound
Seconds
echoed
later,
through the
more
garage,
footsteps,
loud
but these were
and
Min Jae's
continuous. Security team, responding to the alarm. The attackers saw they were outnumbered and ran. Min Jae jumped in the car and drove them out of the garage at breakneck speed. Taylor's hands shook as she gripped the dashboard. Are you hurt? Min Jae asked. No. Are you? I'm fine. But he wasn't fine. She could see blood on his shirt. His knuckles were split and bleeding. You're bleeding. It's not mine. Min Jae, we need to get somewhere safe. Then we'll talk. He drove to a building across the city. A safe house, he explained. Somewhere his enemies didn't know about. Inside, Taylor finally let herself feel the terror she'd been holding back. She sank onto the couch and started shaking. Min Jae knelt in front of her. He took her hands gently. Breathe, he said. You're safe now. Breathe. They were going to take me, she gasped. They were going to, but they didn't. You're here. You're safe. Because of you. Because you were smart enough to honk the horn, he corrected. That was good thinking. His hands were still holding hers. It was the first time he'd really touched her, and even through her fear, she felt the electricity of it. Min Jae, she whispered. I'm scared. I know. Not of them. Of this. Of us. Of how I feel about you. His eyes went dark. Don't. Don't what? Don't care about you? It's too late for that. I already do care. Min Jae closed his eyes like he was in pain. Taylor, please. You risked your life for me tonight. You fought 6 men to protect me. Don't tell me not to care about you when you clearly care about me too. Caring about me will get you killed. Not caring about you will kill me in a different way. She squeezed his hands. I'd rather live in danger with you than live safely without you. Min Jae opened his eyes. The raw emotion she saw there took her breath away. Want, fear, longing, pain, all of it fighting for control on his face. You don't know what you're saying. Yes, I do. He pulled his hands away and stood up, pacing the small room. Those men tonight. They work for a man named Park Dong-min. He was my father. Taylor's stomach dropped. What? My father ran one of the most dangerous crime syndicates in Korea. Drugs, weapons, human trafficking. Everything evil you can imagine. I was supposed to inherit his empire. But you didn't. No. I refused. I watched what that life did to people. The suffering it caused. I wanted out. So at 20, I stole money from his organization and ran. I used that money to start my company legitimately. I built something clean from dirty money. That's why you know how to fight like that. I was raised to be a killer, Taylor. My father trained me personally. I know 100 ways to hurt someone. 100 ways to make them talk. 100 ways to end a life. He looked at his hands like they disgusted him. These hands have done terrible things. That was a different life. Was it? Tonight, I nearly killed 3 men. And I felt nothing. No remorse. No hesitation. What does that make me? Taylor stood and walked to him. It makes you someone who protects the people he loves. I can't love you. His voice broke. Don't you understand? My father is dying. He has maybe 6 months left. Before he dies, he wants revenge on me for betraying him. And his favorite method of revenge is taking away everything I care about. Ji-won was just the beginning. Ji-won, your father killed her, ordered it, then made sure I knew exactly how she suffered before she died. Min Jae's face was haunted. He's doing the same thing now. He knows about you. That's why he sent those men. He's testing me, seeing if I care. And tonight, I showed him the truth. What truth? That I would burn the world down to keep you safe. The words hung between them, heavy with meaning. Then let's burn it together, Taylor said. You're insane. Maybe. Or maybe I'm the first person in your life who isn't afraid of you or your past. Min Jae stared at her. Then, slowly, he reached out and touched her face. His hand trembled slightly. I have wanted to touch you like this since the day we got married, he whispered. Do you have any idea how hard it's been? Living in the same home, seeing you every day, and forcing myself to stay away. Then stop forcing yourself. If I start, I won't be able to stop. Good. Something in Min Jae broke. He pulled her against him and kissed her. It wasn't gentle. It was desperate and hungry and full of 3 months of wanting. Taylor kissed him back with everything she had. When they finally broke apart, both breathing hard, Min-jae rested his forehead against hers. This is a mistake, he said. Then let's make it together. He laughed softly. You're going to be the death of me. Or the life of you. They stayed in the safe house that night. Min-jae held her while she slept, like he was afraid she'd disappear if he let go. The next morning, Min-jae's phone rang. He answered it, his face going hard as he listened. Understood. I'll be there in an hour. He hung up and looked at Taylor. That was my head of security. They found Park Dong-min's location. He wants to meet with me. That's a trap. Probably. But I have to go. If I don't, he'll just send more men after you. Then I'm coming with you. Absolutely not. Min-jae, he already knows about me. Hiding me won't help. But showing him that we're united, that I'm not some weakness he can exploit, that might actually work. Or he'll kill you right in front of me. He won't. You said he's dying. He wants to hurt you emotionally, not quickly. Let me come. Let me help you end this. Min-jae looked at her for a long time. You're either very brave or very stupid. Can't I be both? Despite everything, he smiled. Fine. But you follow my lead. And if things go bad, you run. Promise me. I promise. They drove to a warehouse on the outskirts of Seoul. It was the kind of place where bad things happened and nobody asked questions. Min-jae held her hand as they walked inside. His palm was warm and solid. 12 men stood waiting inside. And in the center, sitting in a wheelchair, was Park Dong-min. He looked like a skeleton. Cancer had eaten away at him, leaving behind a shadow of whatever he'd once been. But his eyes were still sharp and cruel. My son returns, Dong-min said. His voice was raspy, and he brought his pretty little wife. How touching. You wanted to see me. Here I am. Let's finish this. Finish it? Oh no. We're just beginning. Dong-min's eyes slid to Taylor. Come here, girl. Let me look at you. Min-jae's hand tightened on hers. She stays with me. Always so protective. You were the same way with Ji-won. Remember her? Remember how she screamed? Min-jae's face went blank. Taylor squeezed his hand, reminding him she was there. Ji-won's death was your last act of revenge, Min-jae said coldly. You have nothing left. Don't I? Dong-min smiled. I'm dying, Min-jae. In a few months, I'll be gone. But before I go, I wanted you to understand something. Everything you've built, everything you've become, it's all because of me. I made you. The money you stole to start your company, I let you take it. The enemies you've faced, I sent them to make you stronger. You think you escaped me, but you've been dancing on my strings the entire time. You're lying. Am I? Why do you think your company succeeded when 90% of startups fail? Why do you think your competitors kept making mistakes that benefited you? I've been your invisible partner, Min-jae, shaping your path, making you into the success you are today. Taylor felt Min-jae trembling beside her. She could see this revelation breaking something inside him. Why? Min-jae asked. Why would you do that? Because you're my son. My legacy. I knew you were too soft for the family business, so I let you play at being legitimate. But your success is still mine. And when I die, everything you own, everything you've built, it all comes back to the family. I've made sure of it. No. Yes. I had lawyers bury clauses in the paperwork when you first started. If I die, 70% of your company goes to my organization. Your empire becomes our empire. Min-jae's face went white. That's not possible. It's very possible. I've been planning this for 8 years. Dong-min looked at Taylor Gang. And this girl, your wife, do you want to know why her father went into debt? Taylor's blood ran cold. What? I arranged it. I wanted to give my son a gift before I died. A beautiful wife. Someone he could care about. Someone I could use against him one last time. No, Taylor whispered. My father's gambling was encouraged by my people. The loans he took were from my banks. I orchestrated everything to bring you to Min-jae. Every single thing. Taylor felt like the ground was falling away beneath her. Her entire life, her father's death, her marriage, all of it had been manipulated by this evil man. Min-jae's body had gone rigid. When he spoke, his voice was pure ice. You made one mistake. Oh, what's that? You underestimated how much I hate you. Dong-min laughed. Hate me all you want. It doesn't change the facts. I win. Even in death, I win. No. Min-jae pulled out his phone. You lose. He pressed a button. Suddenly, every screen in the warehouse lit up. They showed documents. Legal papers. Bank transfers. For the last 5 years, Min Jae said, I've been documenting everything. Every illegal transaction your organization made. Every bribe. Every murder. Every crime. I've built a case that will destroy your entire syndicate. Dongmin's smile faltered. You're bluffing. Am I? Look at the screens. That's 10% of what I have. The rest is already with the police, the prosecutors, and the media. It releases automatically in 1 hour unless I stop it. You destroy your own company? The contracts I arranged make your success dependent on mine. I know. That's why I'm willing to lose everything. Min Jae's voice was steady and strong. I'd rather be poor and clean than rich and dirty. You taught me to be ruthless, father. But you forgot to teach me to care about money more than principles. Dongmin's face twisted with rage. You stupid boy. You're throwing away billions. I'm buying my freedom. And hers. Min Jae pulled Taylor closer. You wanted to control me through her? Fine. But she's not my weakness. She's my strength. Because she makes me want to be better than you ever were. Kill them. Dongmin ordered his men. Kill them both. But the men didn't move. They looked at each other nervously. Did you not hear me? Dongmin screamed. They heard you, said a new voice. Detective Han walked into the warehouse with 20 armed police officers. Park Dongmin, you're under arrest for conspiracy, murder, racketeering, and about 50 other charges. Your men have already agreed to testify against you in exchange for reduced sentences. Dongmin stared at his men in disbelief. You betrayed me? You're dying anyway, boss, one of them said. Why should we go down with you? Min Jae had arranged everything. The evidence. The police. The betrayal. He'd played his father perfectly. Detective Han walked up to Min Jae. Your evidence is solid. But you know you're going to lose your company, right? Those contracts are real. I know. Was it worth it? Min Jae looked at Taylor. Yes. As the police led Dongmin away, the old man looked at his son one last time. You've ruined everything, he said. No, Min Jae replied. I've freed everything. In the car afterward, Taylor and Min Jae sat in silence for a long time. You're going to lose billions, Taylor finally said. I know. You'll probably have to sell the penthouse. The cars. Everything. I know. Are you okay with that? Min Jae took her hand. Taylor, I spent 8 years building an empire I didn't even want because I was too afraid to live. I was too afraid to love. But these last few months with you showed me that having everything means nothing if you're empty inside. What will we do? I have some money in accounts he didn't know about. Enough to start over small. Maybe get a regular apartment. Normal jobs. He smiled. I could go back to school. You could teach. We could have an actual normal life. That sounds wonderful. Really? You'd be okay with that? No more penthouses or private cars. Taylor laughed. Min Jae, I lived in a tiny apartment before I met you. I worked 2 jobs and ate ramen for dinner. The penthouse was beautiful, but it was just a beautiful prison. I'd rather have a tiny apartment with you than a palace without you. Min Jae pulled her close and kissed her. How did I get so lucky? You married a nobody to save her from debt collectors. Best decision I ever made. They drove to the police station to give their formal statements. It took hours. By the time they left, it was dark. Where do we go now? Taylor asked. The penthouse isn't safe anymore. I have another safe house. We can stay there tonight. Tomorrow we'll figure out our next steps. But when they reached the car, Min Jae's phone rang. He looked at the screen and frowned. Unknown number. Don't answer it. But he did. His face went pale as he listened. When? How many? I'm on my way. He hung up and looked at Taylor with fear in his eyes. What's wrong? That was the hospital. Sujin, our housekeeper, was attacked. She's in critical condition. They want me to come identify who did it. Oh my God. Is she going to be okay? They don't know. Min Jae's jaw clenched. This is my father's doing. Even from a jail cell, he's sending a message. They rushed to the hospital. Sujin was in surgery. The doctor said she'd been beaten badly and left in an alley near the penthouse. She's lucky to be alive, the doctor said. A few more minutes, and she would have bled out. Min Jae sat in the waiting room with his head in his hands. This is my fault. She worked for me. She was hurt because of me. This is your father's fault, Taylor said firmly. You can't blame yourself for his evil. Can't I? Everyone close to me gets hurt. Then I guess I should prepare to get hurt a lot. Because I'm not going anywhere. He looked at her with such raw emotion that her breath caught. I love you, he said. I know it's too soon. I know we've only been married 3 months. But I love you. I've loved you since I saw you at the wedding in that borrowed dress, looking terrified and brave at the same time. Tears filled Taylor's eyes. I love you too. They kissed in the middle of the hospital waiting room, not caring who saw. Hours later, the doctor came out. She's stable. She's going to make it. Min-jae let out a breath he'd been holding. Can I see her? She's unconscious. But yes, briefly. Sujin looked so small and fragile in the hospital bed. Machines beeped around her. Bandages covered half her face. I'm sorry, Min-jae whispered to her sleeping form. I'm so sorry this happened to you. They left the hospital around midnight. Min-jae was exhausted and emotionally drained. Taylor drove them to the safe house. Inside, Min-jae collapsed on the couch. Taylor sat beside him and pulled his head onto her lap. She ran her fingers through his hair. It's going to be okay, she said softly. How can you say that? My father is in jail, but his organization still exists. They'll keep coming after us. After everyone I care about. Then we'll deal with them. Together. You should leave me. You'd be safer. I'm not leaving you. We're married, remember? For better or worse. This is definitely worse. Then we've got nowhere to go but up. Despite everything, Min-jae smiled. How are you so optimistic? Because I have you. And you're worth fighting for. They fell asleep on the couch, wrapped in each other's arms. The next 2 weeks were chaos. Min-jae's company had to be dissolved. The legal battles were intense. The media was everywhere, digging into the story of the billionaire CEO whose father was a crime lord. Through it all, Taylor stayed by Min-jae's side. They moved into a small apartment. Nothing like the penthouse, but it was theirs. They cooked dinner together, watched movies on a second-hand TV, lived like normal people. This is nice, Taylor said one evening as they ate pasta at their tiny kitchen table. It's a shoebox. It's ours. Min-jae smiled. You're right. It's perfect. Sujin recovered and came to visit. She was still healing but getting stronger every day. I'm so glad you're okay, Taylor said, hugging her carefully. It takes more than a beating to keep me down, Sujin said with a weak smile. Then she looked at Min-jae. Mr. Kim, I need to tell you something. While I was being attacked, I heard the men talking. They mentioned someone called the Serpent. They said the Serpent wants Mrs. Kim dead. Min-jae's face went hard. The Serpent? You know who that is? Taylor asked. My father's second in command. I thought he was in China. If he's here. Min-jae stood up and started pacing. This is bad. The Serpent is loyal to my father to the death. He'll finish what my father started. What do? We prepare for war. Over the next few days, Min-jae called in every favor he had. He reached out to old contacts, people from his past. He built a network of protection around Taylor. But the Serpent was smart. He stayed hidden. No attacks came. Just waiting. Watching. The tension was unbearable. 2 weeks later, Taylor was walking home from the grocery store. She had 2 bodyguards with her, both highly trained. She never saw the van until it was too late. It screeched to a stop beside her. The door flew open. Men grabbed her. She screamed, but something pressed over her mouth. Cloth soaked in chemicals. The world spun. Min-jae, she tried to say. Then everything went black. She woke up tied to a chair in a dark room. Her head pounded. Her mouth was dry. When her vision cleared, she saw a man standing in front of her. He was tall and thin, with a snake tattoo crawling up his neck. The Serpent. Mrs. Kim, he said smoothly. So nice of you to join us. Where am I? Does it matter? You won't be leaving. Fear clawed at her chest. What do you want? I want to finish what Park Dong-min started. He wanted to break his son. What better way than to take away the woman he loves? Min-jae will find me. Oh, I'm counting on it. I sent him your location. He should be here in. The Serpent checked his watch. About 10 minutes. Then you'll have to fight him. I know. That's the point. I'm going to kill you in front of him. Then I'm going to kill him. And Park Dong-min's revenge will be complete. Taylor's mind raced. She had to do something. She had to warn Min-jae this was a trap. You know he's really good at fighting, right? She said, trying to buy time. So am I. I trained him. He beat 6 men by himself. Those were children playing at violence. I am violence. The serpent pulled out a gun and pressed it to Taylor's temple. She felt the cold metal against her skin and couldn't stop the whimper that escaped. There it is, the serpent said with satisfaction. Fear. Don't worry. I'll make it quick. Footsteps echoed outside. Fast, running footsteps. The door exploded open. Min-jae burst through, and the look on his face was terrifying. He saw Taylor with the gun to her head and stopped. Let her go, he said. His voice was deadly calm. Why would I do that? The serpent smiled. I finally have you right where I want you. You wanted me? Here I am. Let Taylor go, and we'll settle this. No. She stays. She watches you die. Then she joins you. That's not happening. You always were arrogant, Min-jae. I taught you everything you know. But I didn't teach you everything I know. Maybe I've learned some new tricks. The serpent laughed. Come then. Show me. Min-jae moved. What happened next was the most violent thing Taylor had ever witnessed. Min-jae and the serpent fought like demons. It wasn't like the movies. It was brutal, fast, and terrifying. They were evenly matched. For every strike Min-jae landed, the serpent landed one back. Blood flew. Bones cracked. But the serpent was right. He had more experience. Slowly, Min-jae started losing ground. Taylor struggled against her ropes. She had to help him. She had to do something. The serpent landed a brutal kick that sent Min-jae crashing into the wall. He slumped down, blood pouring from his mouth. You were always too soft, the serpent said, walking toward him. Too emotional. That's why you could never truly be one of us. He pulled out a knife. Taylor will watch you bleed out. Then she'll follow. It's poetic, really. No, Taylor screamed. She threw her weight against the chair. It tipped. She crashed to the ground hard, but the impact broke the old wood. Her hands came free. The serpent spun around, surprised. That second of distraction was all Min-jae needed. He lunged. His hand closed around the serpent's wrist, the one holding the knife. They struggled. Taylor scrambled to her feet. She saw the gun the serpent had dropped. She grabbed it with shaking hands. Stop, she screamed. I have the gun. Both men froze. The serpent laughed. You won't shoot. You're not a killer. Maybe not. But I'm really motivated right now. Her hands were shaking so badly, she could barely hold the gun. But she pointed it at the serpent with everything she had. Let him go, she said. Taylor, be careful, Min-jae warned. I said let him go. The serpent looked at her. Whatever he saw in her eyes made him release Min-jae. Shoot him, Min-jae said. Taylor's hands shook harder. What? He'll never stop. He'll keep coming after us. After you. End it. I can't. I'm not. A killer. I know. That's why I love you. Min-jae stood up slowly, wincing from his injuries. Give me the gun. Taylor handed it to him, relief flooding through her. Min-jae pointed it at the serpent. Any last words? Min-jae asked. The serpent smiled. Park Dong-min sends his regards from hell. Then everything happened at once. The serpent moved with incredible speed, pulling another knife from his boot. He threw it. The knife flew toward Taylor. Min-jae dove in front of her. The knife caught him in the shoulder. The gun went off. The serpent fell. For a moment, everything was silent. Then Min-jae collapsed. Taylor caught him. No, 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 she sobbed. Min-jae, I'm okay, he gasped. It's just my shoulder. I'm okay. Sirens wailed in the distance. Police. Ambulances. Someone must have heard the gunshot. Taylor held Min-jae as his blood soaked through her clothes. You jumped in front of a knife for me. Of course I did. You're my wife. You're an idiot. You're idiot. Despite everything, she laughed through her tears. The police burst in moments later. Paramedics rushed to help. The serpent was dead. Min-jae was injured but alive. It was over. Really, truly over. At the hospital, doctors removed the knife and stitched Min-jae up. He'd need physical therapy, they said, but he'd make a full recovery. Detective Han came to take their statements. Park Dong-min died in prison last night, he told them. Heart attack. So whatever his organization was planning, it ends now. The serpent was their last true believer. The rest are cooperating with us in exchange for deals. So we're safe. Taylor asked. You're safe. After the detective left, Taylor and Min-jae sat together in his hospital room. He was propped up in bed with his arm in a sling. She sat beside him, holding his good hand. We survived, she said softly. We did. What happens now? Min Jae squeezed her hand. Now we live. Really live. No more hiding. No more fear. Just us. Just us sounds perfect. I want to renew our vows, Min Jae said suddenly. Do it properly this time. With flowers and music and a real kiss. I'd like that. And maybe, eventually, a family. If you want that. Tears filled Taylor's eyes. I want that more than anything. Good. Because I want to fill our tiny apartment with noise and chaos and love. It's going to be cramped. Then we'll get a slightly less tiny apartment. They both laughed. 3 months later, they had a small ceremony in a garden. Just close friends and Soo-jin, who had fully recovered. Taylor wore a real wedding dress this time, not borrowed. Min Jae wore a suit and couldn't stop smiling. When the officiant said, "You may kiss the bride," Min Jae pulled Taylor close. "Third time's the charm," he whispered. "What? First wedding, no kiss. Second time, we were interrupted by explosions and kidnapping. This time, I'm determined to kiss my wife properly." He did. It was soft and sweet and perfect. Their friends cheered. Afterward, at the small reception, Min Jae stood up to make a toast. 6 months ago, I married this woman to pay off her father's debt. I thought it would be a simple business arrangement. I never expected to fall in love. I never expected her to save my life, literally and figuratively. Taylor, you took a cold, broken man and taught him how to feel again. Thank you for not giving up on me. Taylor wiped tears from her eyes. You saved me too. You gave me a life I never dreamed possible. Not the penthouse or the money, but this. Love. Partnership. A future worth fighting for. They kissed again, and their friends cheered again. Later that night, in their small apartment, Taylor and Min Jae stood on their tiny balcony looking at the city lights. Happy? Min Jae asked. Completely. Even though we're not rich anymore. We're rich in the ways that matter. Min Jae wrapped his good arm around her. I love you. I love you too. They stood there together, two people who had survived hell and found heaven in each other. But across the city, in a dark office, a phone rang. A man answered it. He listened. His face hardened. Park Dong-min is dead, the voice on the phone said. The serpent is dead, but the organization lives on. And we have new orders. What orders? Kim Min Jae and his wife. They think it's over. They think they're safe. We're going to show them they're very, very wrong. When? Soon. Let them enjoy their happiness. It will make destroying it so much sweeter. The man hung up and smiled. In their apartment, Taylor suddenly shivered. What's wrong? Min Jae asked. Nothing. Just a chill. He pulled her closer. I'll keep you warm. She smiled and leaned into him, feeling safe and loved. Neither of them noticed the black car parked across the street, or the man inside with a camera, taking photos, building a file. The penthouse glass exploded inward. Min Jae and Taylor had been kissing, finally truly together, finally happy. Now glass rained down around them like deadly rain. Something whistled past Taylor's head. Pain blazed across her arm. Get down, Min Jae screamed. He tackled her to the floor behind the couch. Blood ran down her arm where the bullet had grazed her. Min Jae's eyes went wide with horror. No, you're hit. I'm okay. It just grazed me. Another shot. Then another. Someone was shooting at them from the building across the street. Min Jae covered her body with his, shielding her from the bullets. Glass continued to rain down. Pictures on the walls exploded. Furniture splintered. Then, as suddenly as it started, the shooting stopped. In the silence, a phone rang. Not Min Jae's phone. A phone that had been thrown through the broken window. It lay on the floor, ringing. Min Jae carefully reached for it. He answered. Min Jae, a voice purred. It was smooth, cultured, and absolutely terrifying. You thought killing my lieutenant ends this. Who is this? I'm the man who's been watching you celebrate your little victory. Watching you play house with your pretty wife. Did you really think Park Dong-min's death would end our organization? He was just one head. Cut off one head, and 3 more grow back. Min Jae's face went white. What do you want? I want you to suffer. My name is the Dragon. I was Park Dong-min's true successor. The serpent was a loyal dog, but I am the master. And I've spent the last 3 months preparing. Preparing for what? For war. We're coming for your wife, Min Jae. We're coming for everyone you've ever cared about. Everyone you've ever helped. We're going to make you watch them suffer, one by one. And then, when you're completely broken, we'll kill you too. I'll find you. I'll stop you. The dragon laughed. Will you? You couldn't even protect your wife tonight. You failed to protect G1. You failed to protect Sujin. What makes you think you can protect anyone now? Minjae looked at Taylor. She was bleeding, terrified, and pale. He'd almost lost her. Again. Part 2 begins now, the dragon said. And this time, you won't see us coming. The phone went dead. Taylor looked at Minjae. His face was a mask of terror and rage. Minjae, he pulled her close, so tight she could barely breathe. His whole body was shaking. I can't lose you, he whispered into her hair. I can't. You're everything to me. You won't lose me. We'll fight this. Together. You don't understand. The dragon, he's worse than my father. Worse than the serpent. He's patient. Methodical. He'll take his time destroying us. Then we'll be patient too. We'll be ready. How can we be ready when we don't know when or where he'll strike? Sirens wailed outside. The police were coming, responding to the shots fired. But as Minjae held Taylor in the ruins of their apartment, surrounded by broken glass and blood, he knew one thing for certain. This wasn't over. It was only just beginning. Wow, that was intense. If you love this story and want to see part 2 where Taylor and Minjae face the dragon, make sure you subscribe to the channel and hit that notification bell so you don't miss it. Drop a comment below telling me what you think the dragon's first move will be. Will he go after Taylor directly? Or will he target the people they love? And if you're Team Minjae and Taylor, smash that like button right now. Your support keeps these stories coming. Part 2 is going to be even more explosive. Trust me, you won't want to miss what happens next. The dragon made a big mistake threatening this couple. They've survived too much to give up now. See you in part 2.